I couldn't stand up to my smirking mother-in-law. "Mother-in-law, please stop." Even as I pleaded with my mother-in-law, tears streaming down my face, she kept smirking and saying, "I'm doing this for your good. You should be grateful." She continued to pour some mysterious, foul-smelling liquid on me. Why did things turn out this way? I am Eliza, a 40-year-old housewife, currently pregnant with twins. I married Mike when I was 27, but unfortunately, we were not blessed with children. We'll have children when the time is right, we believed, but the stork never came. 3 years into our marriage, our childlessness became a topic of concern, especially for my mother-in-law with whom we lived. My father-in-law had passed away before I started dating Mike. Concerned about leaving my mother-in-law alone, Mike and I decided to live with her shortly after our marriage. I was somewhat prepared for the potential mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issues, having heard about them often, but the reality was worse than I expected. My mother-in-law, perhaps believing in the value of hardship, insisted on manual cleaning methods like sweeping instead of vacuuming and wiping the floor with a wrung-out rag rather than using wet wipes. She was particular about food, demanding organic vegetables free from additives and pesticides. Furthermore, she wouldn't let me use a rice cooker, insisting on cooking rice in a clay pot. Honestly, I'm not good at housework and I struggle with cooking. So I wanted to stop this traditional cleaning and labor-intensive cooking. Once, I asked Mike to convince his mother to stop the traditional methods. He talked to her, and she reluctantly agreed. But when Mike wasn't around, she forced me to continue. And then, my mother-in-law started interfering in our efforts to have a child. "You're already 30. If you don't start having children soon, it might become impossible. There's no time to waste," she would say. I tried to explain, "We're thinking about children together, so please be patient. I know I'm in my 30s, but it's common to have children at this age now." But my mother-in-law seemed unsatisfied. Eventually, despite believing that children are a blessing that comes in their own time, we decided to visit a gynecologist as we were still childless. Both of us were tested, but no issues were found. The only thing left was improving our physical health and avoiding stress. I, suffering from cold sensitivity, started taking herbal medicine and exercising. Mike, concerned about his slightly protruding belly, began working out. Although it seemed dubious, we were desperate. As a result, both of us got fitter, lost body fat, and Mike's belly shrank. My metabolism improved so much that I didn't need socks even in summer. Improving our health like this, we're sure to have children, Mike and I kept telling each other. But the stork still didn't bring us a baby. I turned 35. As I entered my late 30s, my mother-in-law became even more intrusive about having a grandchild, and her comments grew more hurtful. "You're already 35. When are you going to have a child? Maybe it's because your body is defective that you can't have children," she started accusing me, always when Mike was not around. "We are currently undergoing fertility treatments at our own pace, so please wait." Hearing my words, my mother-in-law seemed to feel excluded, angrily saying, "You're sidelining me. Remember, I am your mother-in-law. If our relationship had been good, I would have surely consulted her. But frankly, our relationship was neither close enough nor comfortable enough to discuss such delicate matters." I was now 40, still enduring my mother-in-law's harassment. Then one day, she called out to me. Her voice was unusually cheerful, so I couldn't guess what she was about to do. When I went to the living room, where I heard her voice, she greeted me with a smile. There was a strange smell in the living room. I thought it was the smell of garbage and didn't pay much attention. But I felt a sense of unease with my mother-in-law being in such a good mood, as I had rarely seen her like this before. Cautiously, I sat down in the chair she pulled out for me, and she abruptly started. "You two have been undergoing fertility treatments for quite some time now, haven't you?" I was taken aback, but managed to respond, "Yes. Then, she placed a cup in front of me. The liquid in the cup was orange and had a foul smell that made me want to cover my nose. Mother-in-law, what is this? Despite the foul-smelling liquid in front of me, my mother-in-law didn't change her expression and kept smiling at me. This is a secret remedy passed down in this area. I was completely baffled. Seeing my confusion, my mother-in-law explained, "Well, you two have been married for so many years. And still no children, right? In such cases, it's usually a problem on the woman's side. I heard from Mike that you're undergoing fertility treatment, but it seems to have no effect." She said this while glancing at my stomach, her words dripping with sarcasm. I had already told her that there was nothing medically wrong with either of us. Yet she blamed the infertility entirely on me. She doesn't listen to me. As I've said many times, we are discussing children as a couple, so please don't worry. I said this to my persistently annoying mother-in-law in a slightly stern tone. However, she continued to smile as before. Sensing something bad might happen, I tried to leave, but she insisted. "Oh, just try drinking this. It will surely help you conceive. This secret medicine cures everything from colds to cancer. Once you drink it, you'll be able to have children." She said this with a gleam in her eye. And it frightened me. I was terrified by this different side of her and knew I had to escape somehow. As I looked for an opportunity to flee, she kept pushing the cup with the secret remedy closer to me. "Hurry up and drink. This will fix whatever is wrong with a woman like you." She pushed the cup closer, and it was right in front of my face, the foul smell overwhelming. "Please stop. I can't drink something so unknown. The smell is so bad it's giving me a headache." Despite my refusal, she kept pushing the cup towards me. At my limit, I shouted, "Stop," and knocked the cup from her hand. Due to the force, a drop of the contents splashed into my mouth. Just one drop, but my mouth was filled with an awful taste. I rushed to the kitchen and threw up. My mother-in-law, watching all this, smiled and said, "Even a little bit will have an effect." "Oh, I can't wait for the grandchild." She then retreated to her room. That night, I told Mike everything that happened. Mike immediately went to confront her, but she wouldn't listen. A few weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with twins. We, who had undergone long fertility treatments, cried tears of joy. My mother-in-law insisted that my pregnancy was due to the secret medicine she made me drink. I believe that we were blessed with twins because of our efforts as a couple. So, I let her believe what she wanted. I was initially afraid of morning sickness during my first pregnancy, but I lived my life as before without any worries. However, trouble arose. I had been breezing through pregnancy without any issues. But around the 8th month, I started to feel sick due to the pressure on my stomach. It was late-term morning sickness. Having never experienced early morning sickness, it was a very difficult experience for me. Everything I did was uncomfortable and made me feel ill. I started to spend more time lying down. Once, I got so dizzy while standing that I had to sit down on the spot. Mike, seeing this, told me to lie down and rest. Kind-hearted Mike told me to rest all day. He even took time off work to support me as much as possible. Thanks to him, I found times when I felt better. Mike couldn't take time off work indefinitely, so after 3 days, he had to return. My mother-in-law didn't say anything when Mike was around, so I could rest. But as soon as he went back to work, the hellish days began again. Just because Mike is kind doesn't mean you can take advantage of it. Childbirth is all about physical strength. If you lie in bed all day, you won't have the strength to give birth. You need to go shopping on foot every day and mop the floor to build up strength, she demanded. However, I had already been told by the hospital that I would need a cesarean section. When I told my mother-in-law that I would have a cesarean, she became furiously angry. Everyone else gives birth risking their lives. And you're taking the easy way out with a cesarean. And you won't even know the pain of childbirth because of the anesthesia. Are you out of your mind? I was stunned to hear such things from her. Just walk to the store and clean the house. That's all I'm saying. Do it. A mother-in-law's order is absolute, she said to me in a stern voice. Reluctantly, I tried to do as she said, but whenever she saw me resting, she would yell at me fiercely, and sometimes even throw a broom at me. To protect my unborn children, I tried to follow her commands as much as possible, but it was tough. When my mother-in-law wasn't watching, I would secretly rest. When she was around, I struggled through the tasks she demanded. Eventually, my body reached its limit. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Concerned, Mike took time off work again, and I spent several days in bed. Thanks to Mike taking care of me all day, I was spared from my mother-in-law's attacks. A few days later, I recovered. Mike went back to work, relieved. I was about to start doing housework at my own pace when I heard a knock on the bedroom door. Responding to the knock, my mother-in-law came in. I involuntarily frowned. In her hand, she held that cup. My body tensed up without me realizing it. How are you feeling? She was smiling just like before. Thanks to you, I'm feeling better. That's good to hear. She sat down next to the bed where I was sitting. I was completely trapped. With no way out, my heart was pounding. How could I escape? As I was thinking of a way out, my mother-in-law started to speak. I'm worried about whether your body can withstand childbirth. Just because of pregnancy, you're complaining about morning sickness and feeling ill. Pregnancy isn't an illness, you know. But to be so unwell, maybe there is something wrong with your body. As she spoke, she leaned in closer to me. My internal alarm was screaming for me to escape. So, I had an idea. Maybe this secret remedy can help. After all, you got pregnant immediately after just one drop of it last time, right? If you drink this now, your health issues will surely improve. She confidently pushed the cup with the foul-smelling liquid towards me. The smell was overwhelming. This time, just the smell alone was enough to make me feel like vomiting. Perhaps due to the morning sickness. I've been wondering, what exactly is in this liquid? Trying to create an opening in the conversation, I asked her about the contents of the liquid. However, I would soon regret asking this question. Oh, this is made from animal excrement. The moment I heard her words, it felt like time had stopped. The shock of her statement was so great that I couldn't comprehend it. I froze completely, giving my mother-in-law an opportunity. She poured the liquid with animal excrement over me. My head went into panic mode from the shock and the foul smell, and I started vomiting uncontrollably. I could see my mother-in-law smiling as she left the room. I couldn't stop vomiting, and when I came to, I found myself in a hospital bed. The attending doctor assured me that there was no danger to my life or my unborn children. I had to stay in the hospital for a few days to rest. A few hours later, Mike came rushing into the room, pale-faced. I'm so glad you're safe. I had no idea your morning sickness was so severe. Hearing this, I realized my mother-in-law had told Mike that I had fainted due to severe morning sickness. I was so angry, sad, and frustrated that I burst into tears. Mike was surprised to see me crying, but I told him everything that had happened. After I finished, Mike was kneeling on the floor. I'm so sorry for what my mother did. What she did is unforgivable. I will make sure she pays for this. Leave everything to me and just focus on resting in the hospital. He said this and then left the room. It was 3 days later when Mike came back. You don't have to go back to that house ever again. He appeared with a smile on his face. Wondering what had happened, I asked him, and he told me about his confrontation with his mother. While he was away, Mike had been dealing with the situation. One day, he prepared dinner for his mother. She seemed delighted by the prospect of a meal prepared by Mike, just the two of them. Mike watched her, smiling and in a good mood, as she enjoyed the meal he cooked. Mike didn't touch the food during the meal. His mother-in-law noticed and asked him about it. "Why aren't you eating? It all looks so delicious." To which Mike replied with shocking words, "How can you eat that? It's all mixed with animal excrement." Upon hearing this, his mother-in-law immediately vomited. Then it was Mike's turn. "How could you make Eliza drink something so disgusting? Do you even realize what you've done?" Mike, usually mild-mannered, was very angry at this point, and his mother-in-law was trembling. "But that method helped you to have a child, so it's fine, right? I'm sure it will improve Eliza's health too." His mother-in-law tried to defend herself, but Mike hit back. "Oh, if that's the case, then you, who have eaten it all, must be immortal now. But I can't live with someone who douses my wife in something unknown. Especially someone who bullies her when I'm not around. We can't live with you anymore. We're leaving." After saying this, his mother-in-law started to babble incoherently. Leaving her behind, Mike went to a hotel and began looking for a new place for us to live. I felt guilty that my words had caused such a breakdown in the family. But Mike said, "I just want to spend time with my family, smiling and happy." I was only grateful to him for that. Later, I gave birth to healthy twins. After being discharged, we started our new life in our own home. "Maybe a dream home after the child care settles down," Mike said, smiling as he looked at our children. Now, busy at Joyful, we both are immersed in raising our children. I am truly happy